Ronan O'Gara, good morning to you.
Morning, hey lads.
How are you keeping?
You're on form.
Oh, listen, I'm not quite sure what's going on this morning, Ronan, but I'm sure it's going to be the tone of the day. How are you keeping?
Good, yeah. I was enjoying the Salt Bae stories. It's I have a good one in that as well. Two of my players, Victor Vito and Cor Barlow, got caught in Dubai for a night out, thinking they were two big dogs going to one of his restaurants, and I think actually both of them had to ring their bank in New Zealand to alter their limit on their credit card.
They weren't getting the Infantino free steak then.
No, I don't need, because they obviously eat quite a bit of protein, rugby players, you know. So I think they went again, and what actually happened, I actually think they left a little bit of the second steak behind, and they were just like, "Oh my God, do you understand how much that cost?" And
did they go for the gold-plated one? Did you find out, or was it just a straight?
No idea. I was there with them, but I was hoping it was probably because I have 5 kids. They were smart enough not to invite me and Jess, but. It's an extraordinary amount of money, isn't it, for a night out, you know? And it was great too. 2 Kiwis, they watched the pennies. Those 2 boys, 2 great guys.
What would you do, Ronan? What would you do if you, say hypothetically, during your career, won a World Cup with Ireland, you're celebrating with the trophy, and you turn around to a tap on your shoulder on Salt Bae. You turn around and Salt Bae is behind you, you know, dying for a photograph.
Colin, though, I would say, you know, we are in your own little world at that stage. I'd say they had no idea who this guy is or what's going on. You know, I think they presume it was some kind of probably organizer, kind of helping with the parade. Little did they know it.
Salt Bae. I just don't get it. And the lashings of salt on the steak, I'm like, if I'm paying $2,000 for a gold-plated steak, the last thing I want is a load of salt on it. I'm not going to lie.
It can't be that much, though, is it?
That's apparently for the gold-plated one, yeah.
Do you get to keep the gold?
I don't know. Does that include him? No, you eat it.
I know, but then when it comes out the other end, do you get?
Oh, Jesus Christ! I haven't got that far in the conversation, Jen. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know how it works.
I don't know. Is the $2,000 like sort of? Do you get him coming out to sort of give the old elbow thing? I don't know if that's part of the package,
I presume.
If you went there, Ronan, if you're a high enough celebrity, they let you do the salt. So if you went there, he'd definitely be saying, "Listen, you look after that." That's.
Yeah, it was.
It's weird.
Yeah, just the best of action on the pitch and the worst of action off the pitch, wasn't it? It was beyond cringe, some of the things, but obviously being in France, Mbappe was a big story here. And,
yeah. How is everybody? Funny, I've chatting to some French people since the. What are you grinning about?
No, I was just thinking. Imagine for him scoring 4 goals in a World Cup final, and you don't bring home the bacon.
Insane.
You know? It's
chatting to some French people. There was a lot of good analogy given the conversation.
Yes.
We've just that and the gold.
As good as you were with. I was up late with the kids last night.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to explain the red eyes here, Ronan, and you'll.
Exactly.
You'll appreciate it.
Keep going anyway.
Chatting to some French people after the game, and they were surprisingly sort of like. Sanguine about it and accepting of the result in a way that I think if it was us we'd be in a depression for about 6 months afterwards, but I suppose they're sort of there and thereabouts. What's the general reaction been around where you are with people sort of post World Cup? Are they just c'est la vie?
Yeah, that is the beauty of over in this country. There's obviously a new story, a new storm nearly the next day, so it just keeps rolling. I think obviously I asked the players, I said, what happened France in the first half, you know? I just said, how do you make that out? And they just kind of said, ça c'est la France. Like, that's France, you know? And it was because if they played any way better than they did in the first 45 minutes, it was a big deficit they had to recuperate. But obviously, you know, I mean, even at 2-2, it was probably 5 minutes where it seemed Argentina were dead. Their legs were probably, but France didn't kick on again, you know.
Is there a culture of blame? I know in England, for example, you know, when Harry Kane misses the penalty, or even in the Euros when Rashford and Sancho and those lads missed the penalty in the shootout defeat against Italy. Is it the same in France? Like Tchouaméni and Coman missed the penalties in the shootout? Like,
no, it's bizarrely different and better in that regard. I think Well, what I noticed from the RMC would be the kind of, I suppose, the big French sport radio station over here. Very, very good coverage, but I think they seem to be quite consistently harsh throughout the year, so there's no spiking. And that seems, while the World Cup is kept at the same level as, I suppose, any other sporting event, and the fact that they look for a consistency of performance and they criticise a lot, but they also have some fantastic debate about, just throwing items out there to discuss. And, so there's obviously debate now about Deschamps or Zidane to who will coach for the next World Cup. And obviously Deschamps' record is incredibly good, but Zidane is very much, I suppose, the crowd favourite, the public's favourite. And it's fascinating radio listening to the whys and the whys not, and Benzema available for the final, why wasn't he brought in? So, yeah, obviously a pretty luxury of resources in France at the minute, with the World Cup coming up in rugby as well, and excitement building with that. But the soccer team have been really interesting to follow.
What's the best seat in the Aviva?
You tried them all, I think.
But sure, it was whatever, like COVID rules, you know what I mean? So.
Were you just trying to get a good vantage, or what were you just? You were.
Yeah, but obviously, if you're behind the post, you can see where space is. That was always. So if I watch a captain run, that's where I'd watch a captain's run. Like yesterday, for example, because you can see. Essentially, you're square to the action.
Yeah.
So you see the outline of the pitch as the players see it. So it's very easy to see where space is. But yeah, as I said, it was probably our best 40 minutes and our worst 40 minutes, but the first 40 was pretty emphatic.
The venue uncertainty didn't do any harm in the end anyway. Was it? Did it make any difference to your planning, or was it just grand? We're there and on we go?
Oh no, of course it did, because we went up to the Kingsspan and we flew into Belfast Airport and went directly from the airport to the ground. We weren't allowed on the pitch, obviously, but just to kind of give, I suppose, guys a mental picture of what would happen tomorrow. I think La Rochelle had played Ulster in 2017 or 19, I think. So a lot of the players would have been familiar, but it's a newish enough group, so it was in our planning to just go. But sure, the minute you got to Kingsspan, it was particularly cold. It's in the shade, and by standing on the outskirts of the pitch, you knew straight away there was no chance this game is taking place here. So in the back of my mind, I was thinking, can we just wait in La Rochelle till we get a decision where the game is on? But no, I think we had to present. We were meant to meet the referee on Friday at the ground at 4:30, so we obliged with that. But I think everyone knew that the game was never going to be in the Kingsspan.
Could you understand Ulster's frustrations, Ronan, or is it a case of when you're the opposition manager, well, you're not really caring or paying attention to that regardless?
No, but I suppose we got to control what we're controlling. If it was in La Rochelle, it wouldn't happen, because you obviously have to plan A, B and C. The weather is a big part of guaranteeing your income. So especially what we've gone through with COVID, there should have been provisional plans in place. No one likes to play in an empty stadium. It was just important for us that the game went ahead. But as competitors, we wanted to play in a packed out Kingsspan. That's the reality. But I suppose a lot of the points in the coming up to the game didn't add up. So I think there was a few dots that weren't joined, and all of a sudden whatever, the ball had escaped out of the field, and it's too late. You can't get it back. You can't thaw the pitch in that amount of time.
You mentioned there about the best and worst half of rugby that you've played. Like, is there, looking at it feels like there's almost a natural momentum swing when the performance, obviously the points difference at half time, is that just something that's impossible to guard against, or are you looking at it you know, like that natural momentum swing where, you know, Ulster obviously get fired up at half time. Maybe your players take the foot off the gas a little bit because whatever it was it 29 points or whatever was between them at half time. Is that a natural momentum swing and you write it off that way? Or are you looking at it saying, actually, here were our markers A, B and C and we missed them?
No, yeah, I think there's a little bit of both. I think it's hard at 29-0 to kind of go, okay, this is a game is in the balance. You can't say that. Obviously, because of my lack of discipline, I can't give any messages at halftime. So I am obviously the main culprit, and that's disappointing. So there's a loss of clarity coming from the head coach to what players want, but the assistant coaches can do that. And obviously Ulster, I think, were probably a little bit more accurate in the second half. We were a lot more inaccurate. So you compound the both of them with a few little, I suppose, emptying the bench maybe a bit, not as you want, with the result probably not threatened, equaled to us giving up 4 tries, which is particularly disappointing.
Is there any of the, like, you're alluding to it there, but the, like, enforced delegation almost that you have to do now because you can't be involved on match day? Is there any of that you're looking at the minute or talking to your coaches about has been a good thing for them? Like, obviously Donncha is out front and centre after the game and he's doing the post-match interview and he's getting exposure to that end, and I'm sure the match day experience in a way that he wouldn't if you were about.
Am I after losing your sound?
Do you have me there?
Oh yeah, you're back. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I think it's like the match day experience is isn't as I suppose there are times like up to going into the changing room, I'm able to obviously converse and in the hotel and on the bus, and then. But once you take to the change room, for me, preparation should be done. I suppose what's critical is the 1 or 2 messages at half time. But as you say, Donncha or Sebastian or Roman or Guto can easily give those messages. It's just that capacity to look people in the eye, to judge the body language of the group. And then as a result, maybe that's the best indicator for me to judge what your next word should be. So missing that is obviously very awkward and difficult. But I think sometimes we can overemphasize our importance. You know, at that time, it's very much the players, it's the leaders' time. And I remember that as a player myself. Yeah, you've got a good supporting coach, no matter who he is or how good he is. But it's essentially players' time.
Ronan, how did you find it? It was an interesting chat on one of our football shows, the kick-off yesterday with the former Irish international Keith Tracy. He was talking about being a professional sports person over Christmas and like sitting in hotel rooms and watching reruns of Only Fools and Horses and trying to pass the time as you hear the people, you know, partying on Stephen's Day or whatever down below. What was that like? I know for yourselves, example, you're away to Perpignan on New Year's Eve, but even as a player, you know, having a game on Stephen's Day and having to focus on training and matches around the Christmas time, how did you find it? Was it a good thing, or was it something you always felt you're missing out on something else?
No, I didn't. I suppose in the Munster team I played with, it was the big team at the time. There was huge privilege involved, and I suppose being grateful for it. For me, it was like I was kind of playing with my tormented mind. Should I be goal kicking? Should I be goal kicking on Christmas Day? I need to goal kick on Christmas morning. You know, that's how the mind fools you and saying that, oh God, I'm probably missing out on the reps that could cost you a final here. That's where I was for a long stage. Then you got a little bit of peace of mind and you could actually compartmentalise the role of sport in your life. But it's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever done in that regard. For me, it was essentially the family where your real family, but then you're your sporting family, which is Munster, the Ireland team, and I suppose the sacrifices involved with representing those two teams completely outweighed the sacrifices of having to miss out on nights out around Christmas time.
And so would you go out on Christmas Day for a bit of kicking practice ordinarily?
Yeah, I did early on, you know. I think probably from years maybe 20 to 27, I think, or 18 to 27. and then after a while you can actually understand yourself to know that I'm not going to be punished if I don't kick today. But it's all about you know what I mean, the inner voice talking to you.
Are you getting a few days off? Are you getting home after tonight? Or
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's great. We play tonight, and I can get home tomorrow through Nantes to London, and then London into Cork. So
for a few days.
Home. Yeah, home. It's great actually. In France, you have to have compulsory 4 days off consecutively at Christmas. So they really squeeze the prep for the next game, but that's a good thing too. It's kind of becomes like a barbarians week. You just concentrate on the crucial things and get them right for an away performance, hopefully. Yeah, so we have the 24th, 25th, 26th, travel back to 27th and train the 28th, 29th, off the 30th, play the 31st, and then you roll into Toulouse, Ulster, Northampton, Racing, Lyon, and then that's the 5th of February for Six Nations games, the same day as we play Lyon. So it's getting exciting.
Just a bit busy as well. Did I see during the week there's been new flights, extra flights added from La Rochelle to Cork? This wasn't a direct request from you, Ronan, was it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, no, because that's but I think it's with an asterisk, so we have to talk to Michael O'Leary. I think it's only for May, June and July. Is it, or June, July, August?
For the hot months, right.
Well, yeah, which suits the man to your left very well.
We're already in negotiations about next summer. I might be on to you.
Cheese and wine.
Yeah.
What's the? Will you bring the laptop with you, or you'll do a bit?
Oh God, yeah. That's the office. Laptop and phone is all you need as a manager.
Yeah. So what sort of stuff will you squirrel away a few hours here and there, or what sort of stuff is it opposition work, or what can you do when you're away from the group like that?
No. It's just keeping an eye on, is everyone ticking over, Obviously, for 2 days there'll probably be nothing going on, but you got to remember we have some guys are short-term injuries, sometimes long-term injuries, a little bit of where you've got to manage. For example, like Astoy and Dante and Remy Bordeaux are on holidays this week because of just, I suppose, the unrelenting nature of the programme, But so every person is very different in how you set up your team. And the championship is obviously tight, so results become important, even though obviously you want to just focus on performance. So it's just a little bit of trying to find, I suppose, balance with everything.
It'll be a very special few days for you. You don't get home that often.
No, it'll be great. Exactly. Can't wait for it.
Will it be what's your Christmas movie of choice, Ronan? Is it a Home Alone? Oh no, Die Hard?
No, it's terrible. I don't do movies. The only thing I do is sport, or sport movies. But
right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I watch the darts all day. That's why I should listen to.
Will you?
Good man.
Yeah, my granny was a massive fan of snooker, so I grew up watching Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry and Dennis Taylor, and obviously Ronnie O'Sullivan still is a particular freak, isn't he, in what he can do on a snooker table. So I admire just their capacity to perform. It's a fascinating subject. I think the top 6 inches in a snooker person's mindset.
We've got plenty of snooker and darts in the rest of the show. We'll get a trip to. I'm heading over to the Crucible for the 3rd time now in April, Ronan. We'll get a few frames in. We'll get Ronnie to show us around.
Who's your favourite player?
Ronnie, by a country mile. Yeah.
He's interviewed Ronnie. He sat down with him, Ronan. So even if he wasn't as amazing, he wasn't. If he gave him some time, that's.
Give him some time. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see him here, but the smile that came on his face when you said you were going to be watching the darts was off the charts here.
Snooker as well, Jesus. If let's take it to another level.
Just the accuracy involved is fascinating.
We've kind of had a discussion on the show that came up, which is the tougher skill, the 147, the 9-darter, or the hole-in-one in golf. It's kind of led to an interesting one. It's Sean Murphy, I think, is the only person who's claimed.
Yeah, I saw that, but like a hole-in-one is
freakish.
Obviously, correct, but like 147 isn't, or hitting whatever a nine darter is a leader, isn't it? That's just repetitive perfection.
Enjoy the break. Thanks for everything over the year.
Cheers, Ronan.
Good man.
Look
forward to chatting to you soon.
Cheers.
Happy Christmas.
Happy
Cheers.
Christmas. Ronan O'Gara on the line there from La Rochelle.